Hey everyone, welcome back. Tim here, Gamma Viti. Gonna have fun today, hanging out with this new Waterport day tank. I'm gonna show you how it works, how to set it up, how to tear it down, how to mount it, and yeah, we're just gonna get into it. So you're gonna like this one. Passenger days. I think the first obvious question is, do I really need one of these? And I think if you're already asking that question, then maybe no. But yeah, it's a cool accessory. Is it a must-have? Probably not on my top 10 must-have camping equipment list. But however, I kind of dig it. It's kind of fun. I took it out to Cruise Moab, used it as much as I could for an entire week in the desert, and managed to get some good use out of it and learned a little bit more about it. So, you know, they say it's for showering, cleaning, rinsing, or fun. I guess what's not fun is showering, cleaning, and rinsing. Everything else is a good time. So yeah, it's pretty cool. You set it up and it squirts water. So it's pretty cool. Let's get into it. Let's start off with a little quick kind of what's in the box. Of course, you're gonna get the tank, 3.8 gallons of water. It's a good amount. I honestly, I wouldn't consider this drinking water though. So I wouldn't say this is an alternative to your other jug, jerry cans, or roto packs. You're still gonna wanna drink something, but here you're drinking out of a hose. So it might work, it's great for dogs, but I wouldn't rely on this solely as my drinking water, although I'm pretty sure it is a kind of a potable solution where you could drink the water, not have any kind of health effect there. You get a little box here. This has your little gun, spray gun. You got the top cap for the tank and a little fill port right there. So that's in one box. In the other box, probably most critical, this is a backing plate for the mount plate. So this is gonna bolt right to that tank. I'll show you that here in a second. That's important. And then finally, you got a little white box and it's got your your coil hose. So that's what you get with the base kit. Let me show you what else you probably want to get if you get one of these. This is the back U bracket that they give you with the kit. So this bolts to the tank and that's going to mount to everything. The thing you need to get additionally though, in my opinion, is you need their universal mount plate. And this comes with all of their mounting kits. So what that does is it basically slides into the other one and then you put a pin through this hole and that locks it into position. Now what's interesting is you can buy this separately for 40 bucks, but for $45 you can actually get one of their bar mount kits or their hitch kit or their bed rail kit. And I've been in manufacturing for 30 years now in the US and I can't make that extra stuff for $5. So get the package, in my opinion. You might not use some of the other stuff, but you want to get this thing. Bar mount kit does come with that plate that you need. And then it comes with a bunch of plastic, essentially big old plastic clamps to accommodate multiple sizes, I think up to about 1.5 inches, and some screws. I don't really love this kit. I think we can do better with that plate and our tube clamps if you're going to mount it to a round bar like our racks, but that is an option to you. Again, I think the best part of this kit is getting that plate. They also have a receiver hitch adapter, which I actually do like. Now this is the Gamma Viti accessory mount for the receiver hitch system that we do. You can see the difference. This one's a little smaller, thinner wall, thinner material, but certainly adequate for holding, 3-4 gallons of water and a little tank. So they've obviously tested this, they're working, people are doing it, no problem. If you had this though, you can easily modify this to match the hole pattern here. And yeah, I did update this part to now hit that hole pattern. So you'll be able to use them both kind of interchangeably, if you will. So I think that's your best solution for a mounting solution, is to get this receiver hitch thing, because again, you're going to get the plate that you got to have, and then you'll have another really useful mounting solution with the receiver hitch. And then Waterport does make a platform rack mount. I don't have one, but there it is on the site. I looked at this and a couple things jumped out. One, I thought it was expensive. I knew I could make one for about half the price, and I did. I'll show you that in really quick here. Second thing is, I don't know why it needs to have this big flat plane to it, because the tank is going to sit down. So there really isn't a need for that redundancy there. So what I did is I designed my own few different mount positions. So that plate, where are you? So the plate will mount up into any one of these locations, right? And then on the bottom, I just gave you a big universal hole pattern. Couple pairs of 1/4 inch M6s for the extrusions, extrusion racks, tray racks, all that stuff. And then a whole bunch of pairs of slots that are just gonna mount right on top of any Gamma VD rack, even including right on top of the plates of a Gamma VD rack. So ton of solutions there. Here's one bolted up so you can see I tossed an extrusion here and then one of our round bars here using a tube clamp. So I think this is a lot cleaner, a little bit simpler than the other one. Costs a little bit less too. So that's what I'm running, and so far so good. I've had this on my truck for probably 3 months now, driving around with a full tank of water, just seeing if anything happens, and yeah, so far so good. So pretty pleased with how this mount is doing. And just to show you my setup here, I'm running one of our large tailgate bags. I made the Waterport tag. It works really well for holding. I've got my gun, my hose. I've got a little bike pump. Show you that here in a second. Fill port, and then all the do's and don'ts, the instructions they give you. So it all fits really nice into that bag. And keeping it easily accessible in the drawer here means I might actually be motivated to use the thing. Because that's the deal, right? If it's hard to set up, you're not gonna do it. But if it's easy, then you might do it sooner. So there you go. So hanging out down here on the rear bumper, you know, so this is their receiver hitch system. Slide that in there. Of course, I've got my my recovery rated pin, right? You gotta have one of those. You slide that through. I'm not gonna mess with the cotter pin. This is coming out in 5 more minutes here. But remember, it's got that little single hole on the top of that triangle, and that's gonna interface with this single hole on the top of this triangle. And so when those engage, you're just gonna line them up and those slide together. And once you push it down, boom, like that, now these holes are lined up, and you could stick a little hitch pin in there. You could put a little nut and bolt in there. You could put a safety pin in there. It's just to keep this thing from coming up. But I gotta tell you, it's like an interference fit. The further down this gets, the tighter it is. It's got maybe half full of water, but you can kind of watch me pull this up. It's not trivial. There. So it's kind of a bear to get out of there. So I wouldn't worry about really beefing up that thing. I mean, it's nice to have a safety, but I wouldn't stress about sheer strength on whatever you're gonna use there. It's probably gonna work. That said, it is kind of difficult to get this off of the roof rack unless you're already on the roof rack, or at least standing on the back tire, or maybe even 2 people, especially when it's full. So just keep that in mind. It's not super easy to take this in and out of the mounts here. And then this is what it looks like, you know, installed to the bumper and the receiver hitch. It's my sleeve bumper, obviously. They didn't have us in mind, right, when they designed this. This is for people taking their Subarus, minivans, or just, you know, stock trucks to the beach. They want to have a little water. They want to squirt off their kids' feet after they get sandy, that kind of stuff. So you're not wheeling Elephant Hill with this thing. You're going to lose it. It's going to break. Obviously, I think that was obvious to most people that this probably isn't going to work for kind of four-wheeling, but, you know, for paved roads, light roads, whatever, I mean, yeah, it's probably not going to hit anything. Try it. But I'll tell you the other thing. is this interferes with my swing out. So obviously not gonna fly for me. It's coming out of there, but as you know, we have a better solution. Yeah, so I pulled that out of the bumper, put my trailer hitch back in, and this is our spare tire receiver hitch that mounts to all the Toyota spare tire carriers. You might actually have one of those integrated into your accessory side. Like if you bought a Descent Off-Road rear bumper recently, it comes with a receiver hitch in a great spot, much better spot than down below. So bunch of options. This is another add-on though, if you wanted to find a way to put this on your spare tire. Here's the whole assembly, you know, receiver hitch mount and all. And it's just a matter of slide that guy in. I've got a couple screws I can tighten, grab a wrench, give them snug, and then this guy's right here on the spare tire. Very handy, very easy to get to. Does stick out a little bit far. So you just have to know what trail you're gonna do. You know, great for bombing in the desert. Maybe not the best thing for gas can rock on Rubicon Trail, but you know, we got a rack mount for those guys. So, you know, trying to make it to where it works in a bunch of different situations pretty easily. So let's look at the rack mount. What I did on mine is I bolted it to this tube of the rack using a tube clamp. You can see that. And it's actually bolted underneath the grid panel, but this is independent of the grid. So I could pull the grid on, grid off. I slotted these. So you can see they're all the way up. That's kind of with grid. And then if they slid all the way down, that would be without grid. So that was intentional. In the front, I just used a spacer washer and a single bolt and bolted that front right to the rack plate. And oh, this guy is totally on there. The cool thing is, remember, all the load, the weight of this is actually sitting on the rack. So this bracket is just holding it up, holding it in place. All your load is gonna be pushing forward and back. And that's why we have this nice, long, flat plane that's gonna help absorb that. So again, it's been working really well here. So slide that guy in there. So as you probably guessed, it's just a matter of lining up that U-bracket on the tank with the mount plate, same as the spare tire deal. It'd be easier if this was empty, but for me, I'm just hopped up on the back tire here, lift it up and line it up and slide it down. And there we go. And then I bought this little pin off Amazon. It's kind of cute, but it does the job. I just kind of stick it through there, and then there's a little tab I fold over, and that's my safety. I can hear it a little bit, don't love it, but it also kind of reminds me it's there, so don't hit that on the drive-through. But that's up there. Again, a lot easier to mount and unload when this is empty and then just fill it, but you can do it full as I just did right there. And then for filling it up, you know, they give you the fill port for a garden hose attachment where you can hook that here, but I think it's a little easier to just take the cap off and just fill it up from the top here. And on my last trip out, what worked really well was I just left this up here and then used a 2-gallon Rotopax, which I already had, and you know, at the water source, and just dumped a couple of those in there until I topped it off, put the cap on, and then fill the Rotopax back up and put them back where they belong. And so that worked pretty well, but really, really easy to fill. If you can operate a hose, you can do it. So anyway, so to get the water out of the tank, you need to pressurize it. I've got the cap off, valves open, I can squeeze the trigger, nothing really comes out. So you kind of have to have a little pressure in there. One way to do that is really simple, and you probably already have one of these sitting around. I just got to put this cap on here. There we go. It's just a little bike pump. So I carry this guy when I go out, you know, motorcycle, mountain biking, whatever, but that'll just screw up onto the Schrader valve that they give you there. And I'm not sure they wanted you to do it this way, but for me, I think it works out pretty well. Just a few pumps and you can feel the pressure building. Again, if you didn't want to get the hose out for the air compressor, you know, here's a way you can kind of accomplish that. And then see if we get some water to come out of here. Yeah, so kind of gets the job done. Really, really easy. I don't think I'm going to exceed 40 PSI in the amount of patience I have with the bike pump, but that's a fast way to get a little bit of water out of your tank. Anyway, enough garage time. Let's get out and use this thing. So to pressurize it, you can use a bike pump, or if you want to get the hose out, your air compressor. Really quick to do. This tank is at 0 now. I'll show you. I'll take the top off here. So, Schrader valve. Put my filler on there, push it down. I'm already at 18. Right there, 35, good enough. 40 max, they say. Doesn't take much, especially if you have a ton of water in here already. And that makes a lot of sense if you were already airing up after a trail run, headed back to camp. Just one more little thing to top off before we put it all away. Really wouldn't add any time at that moment, and you'd be ready to go when you were set up. And you can hook the hose up while it's pressurized. Obviously, that little ball valve is what's holding it. Just hop up there, snap that on, take your gun, snap that on, then you can open the ball valve. You just saw all the water kind of energize that. And then that's all you do. So looking the other way, I'll just show you how far this thing squirts. We are on jet mode at this moment. So yeah, about 20, 25 feet out there. And we'll switch it back to shower mode. Pretty standard thing. So yeah, you could give somebody a good hosing. And that's exactly what I'm gonna do. I just got back from a trail run. So yeah, I'm gonna give my head a quick squirt. Just gonna use my shirt as a towel. That's how we do it. But yeah, as long as I got it, we might as well try it out, eh? Can't deny that did feel pretty good. So might not look any better, but hey, I do feel a little bit better. So yeah, Waterport. And then when you're taking it apart, real simple. Just turn off your ball valve, snap that guy off of there, and then snap off the gun. That hose will drain. Squeeze the trigger, the gun will drain. Kind of swing it around your head if you want. Put it away till next time. So hey, I hope that was kind of useful and helpful and mildly entertaining to you. Again, 3.85 gallons of capacity. Run it on the rack, run it on the spare tire, just toss it in the back of the rig, between trucks, whatever. And you know, use the thing. Anyway, we'll get back to it. Thanks for being with me on this one. Tell me what else you want to see, and I'll see you on the next one.